basically the energy consumption by the transport sector, there is a few silent features which I want to highlight. Basically, if you take the full about the transport passenger and the freight transport, basically 99% of the freight transport by the road sector. And the 95% of the, basically more than 95%, I saw the latest number in 2013, that is actually more than 95% now carried by the road with the passenger transport as well. The railway actually last year, 2013, his share was almost 5%, 4% during last few years. But unfortunately, 2013, the market has been, because all the growth has gone to the road sector, as a result, it has reduced to 3.4%. So, if you see the freight side, freight also, because it's a constant and it had almost 1% during last 2010 and 11, but anyway, unfortunately 2013 that has been reduced to almost 8.8%. And basically the transport sector is the one who used the fossil fuel, and if you get the transport sector, the 2013 has used almost 2.9 billion worth of fossil fuel by the transport sector to transport all the passengers and the freight, out of which 5.2 billion, whereas power sector has increased their consumption also, because almost 2.3 billion is used by the power sector in the fossil fuel. I am not going to have a complete the energy balance sheet I am not going to describe here. As intervention of this panelist, I would like to say that now the fleet also now actually rapidly increased since 2010. Basically now the operational vehicle fleet has reached almost 3.54. That means out of which almost there is 800,000 three-wheelers and 1.6 million two-wheels, that is called motorcycles, and the balance in only the four-wheel vehicles. So having said that, I would like to say that now what really happened into the model share, because basically if you go to the passenger model share, the bus was almost handling 65% around 2008, which has been reduced around 2010 to 56%, where almost around 63% was handled by the public transport, we so-called buses and the railways. But this situation has reduced to 2013 almost to 45%. When you look in these numbers, you can see one of the key things since 2010, where the vehicle fleet rapid increase incurred because of some of the tax policies, the model shift has been the rapidly shift into the private motorization. So this is what the result is. Out of which now if you see the motorcycles and the three-wheelers, where they had only the 7%, 6% in 2018, has now almost reached to level where 21%, which is the reasonable amount. If you take the three-wheelers, almost 13%, and whereas motorcycles carry 6.1%, altogether it's coming to almost 30%, the 20%. So basically, other private motorization like motor cars and the vans also there is almost 30%, which is not a bad amount. But if you put together, almost 50% go into the private motorization with all these vehicles. So this is what really happened during the market share during last few years. The fuel consumption, of course, now the number of vehicle kilometers. Now you can see the fuel consumption, and 2012 is the year which has the highest fuel consumption, especially diesel, and then the petrol. And the government of Sri Lanka basically, as per the Mahinda Chintana Way Forward document, I think there is some of the economic tools, what I call, I think Dr. Gunurwan mentioned about how the demand management tool has been introduced. I think Ministry of Finance and Planning in their policy framework in the budget in 2012 introduced a special tax concession for the hybrid vehicle. I think the hybrid vehicle now there is anyway it was harmonization has been done after 3-4 months after introducing the tax structure in 2012. Now we have almost 50,000 of the hybrid vehicle, four-wheel vehicles into the fleet. So as a result, the fuel consumption has been reduced by the number of vehicle kilometers run by the vehicle has not been reduced compared to the number of liters consumed by both sides. So therefore, technological intervention through a tax policy has been actually somehow up to some limit has been reached already. Even the market trend during last few years, what we have seen in the hybrid vehicle demand is compared to the other vehicle is much higher than the diesel vehicle. even the petrol vehicle demand, if you see, it has been shifted to basically the hybrid vehicle. So therefore, that hybrid vehicle policy of the government has delivered some kind of a good result to have a less consumption of the fuel. But anyway, as a transport planner, I won't say that public transport is the good thing to do, but not the technology. But technology, of course, with this, the intervention, it has been reached. Basically, road vehicle fleet, I would like to just to mention, because I already mentioned, you see now, basically, as I mentioned, we have a 3.5 million vehicle running on the road, because RME data says close to 5 million, but anyway, running only 3.5, out of which 800,000 is three-wheelers, and then we have 1.6 million motorcycles, and the balance basically cars and wheels. But diesel vehicle fleet, of course, especially the motor cars, is reducing because they are shifting to basically to the hybrid vehicle side, and the petrol vehicle also shifting. That is a good sign of the fleet. These are the technological wise. I have done some of the analysis here. You can see now how we introduced in 2011 hybrid vehicle, and basically the fleet is now increasing the hybrid vehicle, which is very good sign. As I mentioned, the model share, now you can look at here now, buses, of course, carrying 64% and the 6% by the railways, almost public transport were carried 70% in 2008. The benchmark here, 2010, I think Dr. Gunarwan mentioned that we had 57% buses and the 6% railways, it was almost 63% of the public transport. But today, buses reduced to 45 and the railway has reduced to 3.4. Altogether, we have little less than 50%, that is almost 49%, which is not a good sign where the market is shifting completely from the public transport to a private transportation. So this is the key feature which we can sign, but technological wise, there is some of the improvement with the tax policies, but unfortunately, there is a lack of transport strategy in the country that has led to this kind of a situation where the market drive they want, because market basically is the demand and supply, so therefore this is what really happened. So as Dr. Gunarwan's speech, I would like to again mention now, looking all these things, what we can see in the vehicle kilometers is in the increasing side. Fuel consumption got down because of the technology, but the vehicle kilometer is high side, then the fuel consumption also goes up. The results are the indirect effects. For example, now you have a urban congestion with the road sector, and then you have for example, now if you get from Paliagoda to Colombo, now even if you come in a highway, probably you have to spend almost 1.5 hours. That means the average speed is coming down to almost 8 kilometers, 7 kilometers per hour. So which is very bad. And then average vehicle occupancy, I think already Dr. Gurwan mentioned, but the occupancy has not changed much, because motor cars today also still remain the 2.8. It was only 2 and there is a little increase, but basically vans also remain almost the same. Time to time there is small fluctuations. Buses of course remain the 46, which was coming down actually because of the bus sector, the reliability and the quality has been deteriorating day to day. As a result, some of the passengers are shifting to the private motorization. So if you see the whole picture, the gainer is the private motorization, loser is railways and the buses. So this is a very alarming sign. I think whoever the planner, we have to look into these key features to do the transport strategy. Unfortunately, there is no any given strategy at the moment what we can describe here. So what is happening is now with transport sector taking all these numbers as well as Dr. Gunarwan's speech, what as a panelist I would like to say, I don't know who is responsible for the implementation of the vision given in the Mahinda Chintana Way Forward document, because there is some of the strategies given in that particular document. I don't know who is responsible. I can see the Ministry of Transport may not be responsible doing this. As a result, I think there is some gap I can see. If so, where is the action plan for the BRT for Colombo? Because it says the BRT in the Mahinda Chintana Way Forward document, which is one of the public transport option given to the urban area, especially like Colombo city. Unfortunately, I can't see any kind of that kind of action plan. Up to now, I have not seen. And then how we meet the 35,000 passenger per hour from Paliagoda to Colombo Fort area. So that is the corridor, highest number is recorded. I don't know how coming, because that is why this speed has gone down to almost 7 km per hour, because the passenger demand is very high, 35,000 passengers coming from that corridor, because now all the road is connecting to the Palligod area. Unfortunately, there is no any kind of a mass transit or the BRT system in the card to resolve this problem foreseen any near future. And then who is going to identify the LRT or mass transit, meet the demand generation from high density urban development, because now there is a lot of urban development are coming. For example, now there is a Hotel Sangila coming, which is coming with a commercial mixed development. And there is a Lotus Tower, and then there's a Hyatt Hotel coming, which is also the mixed development. And there's the Mustafa at Mattakulia, now they are coming to have some kind of business here. And there is a casino built in the Berry Lake side, whether we like or not, that's what coming up. And the development of this, the CBD of Colombo Port, all these are coming, and there is a land reclaiming in even the seaside. And all this generate traffic. So I don't know how going to be meet this traffic demand, or whether purely we are going with the private motorization as a solution. And then the travel demand has grown higher than the economic growth also. Now if you take the economic growth, basically we are fluctuation from 6.5 to 8%. If you see the numbers, basically, I do agree with the numbers, because you can see some of the kind of the symptoms coming out from the even the transport sector. Now, for example, there was a study in the Harvard University where it says per capita income, if go more than $1,000 to $1,500, there will be a huge rapid increase for the motorcycles. 1,500 to 2,500 basically go to the three-wheel and the next mode. And the basically four-wheel also we start after $3,000. Now we are at $3,200 per annum. So that means we are in the process of taking into that step now. So therefore that has to be resolved. And the transport system not involved with mass transit operation either by a BRT or by the any other LRT or any system for the high density corridors minimum. So notably after the Northeast opened for the economic activities after 2009, after this conflict is over, transport policy adopted by the government of Sri Lanka had a hope. It is actually that particular transport policy document addresses most of the areas, as I think Gunaruwan mentioned some of the highlighting point. Unfortunately, that policy has lies after table in the parliament, it is lies, but no action plan has been drawn. But since 2010, market forces has taken the lead. So therefore market force has taken the lead because of the technology has changed because of the tax policy. That is not the transport policy as such. And then basically the dividend for buses and the best option for the public transport, basically now the peace division should go to the general public to have that. We should have nice public transport systems. So that is not there actually. If you take the whole country, basically public transport day to day deteriorating. If you see the quality and even the prices, they are not compatible with the demand and what the requirement by the consumers with the income elasticities. So finally what I have to say is, as a panelist, there is a big gap in the transport sector strategies and the action plan, and that is not available us to describe. Unfortunately, I am not able to describe anything because there is no action plan or the strategies is laid down. Other than the Mahinda Chintana Way Forward document has mentioned good strategies which has not been laid down up to now. Other than the basically other areas addressed by the Ministry of Finance on the tax policy and all those, that has some kind of changes in the technology side, but not more than that. And secondly, I would like to mention again the environment, because of we talk about the environment pollution. It's true that when we are introducing the standards in 2007 and implemented, and the mechanism was implemented since 2008, all the emission testing has been done, but unfortunately we are supposed to introduce the stringent standards around 2012 and 13. Ministry of Environment, unfortunately, in 2013 also, now I think all the documents are ready, but unfortunately they are reluctant to, or I don't know why, and they are not gazetting it. Basically, our vehicle fleet, I have to say that vehicle fleet has been not improved, and there is no any issue with the vehicle fleet, because there is no any vehicle which can be thrown out from the vehicle fleet, running vehicle fleet with the new standards also. Unfortunately, they are not gazetting. So therefore, it's a bureaucrat, as I am also one of the bureaucrat, and we have to get the responsibility because we are not moving the way the people to have a good life, quality of life. though whatever that peace dividend come into the country has not allowing to people to enjoy, because the bureaucrat, as we also bureaucrat, and we are not allowing these things gazetting and coming out to the operation. So therefore, finally, I would like to say that transport strategy and action plan must have the public transport option to cater into the, especially the urban congested route network. And the other areas also, public transport systems should be improved on the basis of the people's income elasticity and their demand elasticity, because their quality, when they go up, basically there is global studies which proves that the people will choose otherwise based on their individual preferences. Thank you so much.